Fairy tales, I don't enjoy. Fairy tales and wishful dreams are broken toys because I'm a big boy now. These are the lyrics to one of the first ever recorded songs by the Jackson 5 called Big Boy. In an attempt to seem more grown up, Michael lists all the childish things that he seemingly never had interest in at all to seem more adult, that he's ready to fall in love and put childhood aside. It's always been such a striking way to start a song for me, because I think we kind of undervalue how important fairy tales really are. Fairy tales are some of the first stories that children ever hear and are responsible for instilling important values that we need for growing up. Disney didn't necessarily create these stories, but they're a big reason why they became as popular as they are in our current cultural zeitgeist. Arguably, one of the most popular stories is Cinderella, a story that has seemingly been told all the way going back to ancient Greece and Egypt, from like 7 BC to around 23 AD. The first literary version of Cinderella was written by a French author, Charles Perrault, in 1697. There are so many different interpretations of the Cinderella story, but for this video, I just wanted to mainly look at two: the original animated Disney film from 1950 and the live-action Brandy-led television movie adaptation in 1997. This video won't be a versus or me telling you which one is better. I'm just going to be talking about both versions that I enjoy for different and similar reasons. Like a previous 2-in-1 video I made before, these are made in an attempt to celebrate both iterations, not to necessarily put them against each other, but to highlight the different aspects that makes both of them really amazing works of art. I'll just be 100% honest with you. I wasn't expecting to have this many thoughts about the original Cinderella film. Right off the bat, we have to address that this film just looks beautiful. There really isn't anything like watching an original, hand-drawn animated film upscaled to the highest quality possible. After all this time, the character animation and voice acting all hold up pretty well, all things considered. Of course, with the film that's over 75 years old, not all the animation has aged very well. There are some pretty wonky expressions here and there, but the film has this real immersive feel to it. You can really get lost in the internal design of the film's locations and castles, and that orchestral soundtrack really adds to that royal and elegant feel to the movie. As for the characters, Cinderella is by far a highlight for me. The film really wants you to understand that Cinderella is a character with a pure heart. Her opening scene really establishes that while she is under the abuse and mistreatment of her family, it doesn't change how kind she is to others, including the animals. It's kind of hinted that she learned to be this kind from her father, who, while he was alive, made sure that his daughter had the best life possible. A lot of people give this criticism to her character, saying that she's way too passive, but I don't know, gang, that kind of feels like a misreading to me. For one, it's very difficult for someone to stand up against their abuser, especially if that same abuse is coming from your own family. But Cinderella shows a lot of confidence too. The way that she doesn't take the insults that she's constantly berated with to heart, and she doesn't let the negative attitudes of her siblings affect how she treats others. By the end of the film, she can really be seen advocating for herself, as the part where she shows the other shoe perfectly displays her breaking down the barriers that were placed in front of her and forging her own path to her dream. I think her stepmother, Lady Tremaine, might be the best written character in the movie, mainly because how maliciously sneaky she can be. Her entire performance feels super low-key, and it's a lot more subtle than the other characters in the film. Her manipulation is just so sadistic, yet oddly realistic. When she wants to crush Cinderella's dream, she actually gives her a glimmer of hope, allowing her to get excited over the chance of going to the ball or meeting the prince. Then, at the last second, snatching that hope away from her, making her feel stupid enough to even think it was possible in the first place. She just knows exactly how to pull strings, so she can cause damage without ever getting her hands dirty. Like when she pushes her daughters to destroy Cinderella's dress, all while hiding under a veil of complete innocence. She's not this over-the-top villain in the corner of the room rubbing her hands together thinking of a plan to stop her stepdaughter for good. She's a much more grounded and conniving abuser that really knows how to make the audience feel uneasy whenever she's on screen. The funniest characters, to me anyway, are the King and the Grand Duke. The two are just comedic gold whenever they're on screen. The king is a lot more simple than I thought he would be. The dude just wants grandkids. He's given so many moments of him just being a big old goofball. I was waiting for a rug pull, but it never comes. His gags with the Duke can range from smart back and forth dialogue to some really funny visual gags too.
By the way, what title would you like? Sire, she got away. So she got away. A peculiar title, but if that's what you... She what?
The other characters of the film feel a little lackluster to me. The prince is much less of a real character with his own motivation and personality, but more of a representation of a life away from Cinderella's abusive family. The love story between the prince and Cinderella is as underdeveloped as it is simple. What does a conversation between the two sound like? What do they have in common? How do they complement each other?
I don't know, Mr. Krabs. I don't know.
This isn't just a Cinderella issue though, since a lot of the early Disney princess stories tend to not write their love stories that great anyway. The stepsisters fulfill their role just enough. They're easily jealous, spoiled, they got them La Cienega feet. They don't really have any redeemable or positive qualities about them. I hear in the two sequel films that a lot more of these characters get more time to feel fully realized, and maybe later down the line I'll watch them too, but just judging from this one film alone, there really isn't a lot there for some other characters. The absolute most criminal character snub has to be the fairy godmother. The fairy godmother is arguably one of the most easily identifiable and iconic characters in fairy tale history. I think with that in my mind, I thought the fairy godmother was going to have more of a bigger role than what she ended up getting. Out of the entire film's runtime, she only gets one scene. And don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. Cinderella is at her lowest points after her dress and chance to get to the ball is taken away from her. She's crying under a willow tree, hearing these voices echo to her to continue to believe in dreams, but she outright rejects her own ideology and outlook that she had in the beginning of the movie. Then, the fairy godmother appears as a physical representation of all of Cinderella's aspirations, confirming to her that dreams do come true. She turns a poor situation into a runway for her grand entrance to the ball, telling her to leave by midnight and then just never shows up again. I kind of wish we saw a little bit more of a parental relationship between the two, getting to see how the fairy godmother directly contrasts the evil stepmother and how the positive impact of a supportive parental figure on Cinderella can change her outlook throughout the entire movie. There is just a really interesting character exploration opportunity there that I don't think the film realizes. There are also these other animal characters in the movie, mainly these two mice, Jack and Gus, who help out Cinderella throughout the film and provide some comedic relief. They also have this long-running feud with Lady Tremaine's cat, Lucifer. I feel like the mice and the Lucifer parts of the film kind of drag out the movie's runtime and don't really add anything to the story's message or themes in any way. It just kind of feels like we're watching a worse version of a Tom and Jerry episode. At least these mice help out Cinderella as the film goes on. Lucifer doesn't really do anything besides this poor attempt at a Mufasa death scene. Also, with a name like Lucifer, you know I had to plead the blood against it like my name was Mother Gladys. All in all, I think the original Cinderella film is really fascinating. On one hand, it's definitely a product of its time, with some missed opportunities with its characters and their dynamic with each other. The film's pacing is really unbalanced. It takes a long time for the story to actually start because they really want to drag out that cat and mouse chase. And it feels like the writers just really wanted to speed run its resolution. After Cinderella reveals the other shoe, she instantly gets married and is on her way to her happily ever after, with no scene showing how the stepsisters feel or the stepmother. But on the other hand, this film is still super immersive and remains that iconic story that we all remember it for. Cinderella is easy to root for, and the themes of belief and faith are timeless truths. And it's hard to watch the end of the film without feeling happy for Cinderella's happily ever after in the first place.
Wanted you to show me up. So won't you say my name, say my name.
Brandy's Cinderella is kinda tonally different from its original Disney animated film counterpart. The film takes much more inspiration from the stage play version of Cinderella, written by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein. And you can really feel that stage play influence in different parts of the movie. The cast here is purposefully diverse, as the filmmakers wanted to cast a wide amount of people of different colors and roles. This colorblind casting reminds me how actors casted for actual Broadway performances are often not judged solely for how they look, but on actual skill and talent for the role. The camera work for this film really helps to elevate the production beyond just a made-for-TV movie. A lot of these scenes with the background dancers and actors are filmed in one shot, which is super impressive. They really get moments to shine during the ball and when the ball was originally announced.
The prince is giving a ball!
Whoa, were they big? These balls were huge. Ow!
I think the cast and the music here are real standouts. Seeing Brandy play Cinderella feels like a fantasy casting wish come true. She's actually handpicked by Whitney Houston herself, and she's the whole package. She can act, she can sing, and dance when the film requires her to. Her version of Cinderella is pretty different from her animated film interpretation. For one, there are no talking animals in this one, so my deep condolences for the 3 Gus Gus fans out there. This version of Cinderella feels a lot less socially competent. She's seen not picking up on social cues all that much when talking to the prince and has a very blatant and straightforward way of speaking her mind and seems a lot less sure of herself. Where the animated film focused on her kindness in the face of malice, Brandy's adaptation feels more like a grounded and realistic young woman. She's still a dreamer and aspires to escape her family, but the film presents her as a way more lonelier and sheltered character than before. Her character walks a fine balance between having her own awkward and offbeat personality while still being an easy protagonist for the audience to see themselves in. And of course, having Brandy as the first Black Disney princess allows the Black girls watching the film to imagine themselves as royalty, which is always a good thing. Whitney Houston plays the role of the fairy godmother, but when originally presented with the idea of starring in the film, she was pitched with playing Cinderella. She could have easily forced herself as the main lead, as a lot of other celebrities would have done the same thing in her position, but she chose to step back and allow a younger star like Brandy to helm the project. This version of the fairy godmother feels a lot more like an actual mother figure to Cinderella. For one, she shows up a lot more than just one scene in the film, and she's also there to encourage Cinderella when she has second thoughts about pursuing her dream. I think they found a really clever way to build on the themes that the original film presented. The original fairy godmother represented the reward for just believing, but Houston's portrayal encourages personal agency, that dreaming is important, but also doing something for yourself to make those dreams come true is even more important.
That's the problem with most people. They dream about what they want to do instead of really doing it.
Just like the original fairy godmother, she adds a lot of comedic charm to the role, and also hiring the greatest singer of all time in your musical is never a bad idea. And yes, I mean it. She is the greatest singer of all time. And if you disagree with that, you can keep it to yourself, because I don't really want to hear it for real.
Respectfully!
Let's just be honest here. A big part of the appeal of this movie is that dynamic between Whitney Houston and Brandy. Whitney is Brandy's mentor figure outside this film. She's a big inspiration to her own musical career. So watching the two play mother and daughter on screen adds a level of chemistry that just can't be imitated. Just watch their interviews and behind the scenes recording for the music of the film. You can just really feel how excited Brandy is to work with her hero. The stepmother character in this film took me a while to understand, but by the end, I was really fascinated by. Bernadette Peters' portrayal isn't as low-key and subtle as her animated film counterpart. She doesn't have that manipulative puppet master energy, and it bothered me for a minute, I won't lie. But this version of the stepmother has a much more vulnerable side to her. She's a grieving widow. Now, that doesn't excuse the abuse and bad parenting, that's not my point at all. But I'm saying that she feels much more three-dimensional when you put into account that she is struggling with dealing with the death of her old husband and Cinderella's father. She has become a lot more jaded in her thinking, as the film shows her struggling with the thought of him even being mentioned. They directly counter her mentality with the fairy godmother. The stepmother wants Cinderella to give up on dreams after being heartbroken with the death of her husband, seeing that naive nature that she once had in her stepdaughter and gets enraged by it. But the fairy godmother takes the opposite approach, encouraging her to dream bigger and to see herself in a light that she was told she can never be in. It's just such a cool detail that humanizes her character in an interesting fun way. Her two daughters carry much of the comedic tone of the film. They don't feel as evil as their animated counterparts. I think removing the scene where they destroy her dress allows them a little bit more grace. They're not angels or anything, but they're much more easier to laugh at here than in the previous film. The prince here also has a big upgrade. Prince Christopher is a charming and charismatic guy who is shown to have a large disdain for royalty. He just dreams of being a normal person and struggles against his parents' wishes for him. Like Cinderella, Prince Christopher also grew up extremely sheltered, and the two bond over how lonely they can feel and how different their upbringing was. Yes, the prince that hates his royal upbringing is a big cliche in movies like this, but it at least gives the relationship some believable ground to build off of compared to the animated version. I also really like that he learns that Cinderella was also the stepdaughter that he met earlier in the film. It's a small detail that shows that he loved her even while her clothes were raggedy, and that their connection and conversation was what truly stuck with him. His parents are also small players in the movie. Although the father isn't as goofy as his animated counterpart, Whoopi Goldberg carries that same hilarious energy in this one too. They also get the opportunity to bounce off their Duke character Lionel in some really funny scenes too.
Who is that?
Lionel, darling.
Oh.
This film is also a full-on musical, just like the original version, and contains my favorite Cinderella song, It's Possible, a duet between Brandy and Huston. It's an incredible song, and seeing these two vocal giants on the same track will never lose its novelty to me. 1997's Cinderella film feels like a larger-than-life love letter to fairy tales of old. It has this Broadway musical charm to it that, while campy and corny at times, never bothered me once, because the film always carried this genuine love for the source material that you can really feel throughout its runtime. The film really feels like the amalgamation of the perfect moving parts. Great songwriters, great vocal artists and choreography, great background dancers, and set locations, all centered around one of the greatest fairy tale stories ever told. The result is a film that connects with generations long after the film first premiered. Brandy, who was inspired by Whitney Houston herself, was able to pioneer a role that would serve as the inspiration for so many others to pursue their own dreams, as this film directly inspired people like Keke Palmer, who years later became Cinderella for a stage interpretation. It found ways to pay respect to the Disney classic and also build on some of the missed opportunities found in that version, and present some more nuanced themes that make these two feel like a companion piece in my head now. There is an Alvin and the Chipmunks song that I really love called Gotta Believe in Pumpkins. By the way, one of the best things about having a YouTube channel like this is that I can say sentences like these that my friends will never let me get off in real life. I'm so happy I got to say that. The song features Alvin and his brothers encouraging the listener to believe in things and people around them to help make their dreams come true, to believe in what seemingly might be useless, like pumpkins, as a tool to achieve your real goals. It's something that I had to remind myself of often, to always aspire for more, to think outside the box and not let anyone or anything hold you back. You belong, and you deserve to be celebrated, despite what anyone else has to say. It's in films like these that really help to drive that point home for me, that dreams can come true, and having them doesn't make you immature or childish, but act as motivation to approach each and every day to get one step closer to making them come true. Never let go of that dream. Keep working for it, keep striving, and keep moving forward towards it. It might look impossible for some and foolish to others, but that belief in yourself can help make all things seem a lot more in reach than you might think.
Impossible. 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 Impossible.